What the hell just happened? We're obviously talking about the Jags going 1-0. Welcome into the Pain and Panic podcast. I'm Adam Sheets, joined by Chris Reynolds. Week 1 is not in the books yet. We still have Monday Night Football tonight, but it is in the books for Sunday of football, and the Sunday night game might have been the greatest regular season game of all time between the Ravens and the Bills. I'm Adam Sheets, joined by Chris Reynolds, as always, here on this week's edition of the Pain and Panic podcast. Well, Chris, let's just jump right into it. The Bills erase a 15-point fourth-quarter deficit to defeat the Baltimore Ravens 41-40 in Buffalo. The Bills moved to 1-0, and what looked like was one of the most dominating, impressive offensive performances you'll see from a football team. They collapsed in the last 8.5 minutes, and the Bills are 1-0.
Yeah, I literally made, for this episode, I made ready a Derrick Henry stiff-arming Josh Allen thumbnail. I photoshopped it, spent so much time on it. We thought the game was over. We were about to record, Adam. I actually threw my keys into a dumpster. Not related, but same timeline. And by the time I drove 5 minutes from one house to the other to record this, the Bills were back in it. Then they missed the 2-point conversion, and I was like, dang, would have been a great comeback. And I was like, okay. And then guess what? They stopped the Ravens, and you thought, well, the Ravens could hold the lead better than anyone. They have Lamar Jackson, who could scramble for any first down, and they have Derrick Henry, who especially tonight was running all over the Bills. And that went from one of the most boring Sunday Night Football, biggest letdown matchups. Just looks like the Bills had no energy to them. I know you're skeptical over there, but if you're watching,
it was 40-25. It wasn't boring.
But it felt like the Ravens clearly had the lead, and it was clearly wraps, and the Bills did not look fun. Then all of a sudden, one crazy catch, a fumble by Derrick Henry of all people, and then another touchdown. That was one of the most remarkable comebacks I've seen. Maybe my favorite regular season game I've seen in a long time.
Okay, first of all, saying boring. Boring was Green Bay, Detroit. That was far from boring. Okay, that was awesome the entire time. Because even though you want to say it was boring, like, the Ravens were going nuts. Like, the Ravens at least made it fun to watch. It was kind of like you remember the Commanders-Lions game in the playoffs. That's how I initially thought this was going. Like, the Commanders were the Ravens. They were just going to, like, start pulling away, and the Bills are going to be like, man, they just ran into an avalanche tonight. But it comes to the fourth quarter, and Josh Allen had the ball in his hands. They drive down the field, a tip catch for Keon Coleman, who had a phenomenal game. Keon Coleman maybe solidify himself as wide receiver 1 for the Bills this season. They catch it, and it's like, okay, 40-32, but 3:50 left. Like, how much time are they going to have when they get it back down 8, if they get it back? Because Derrick Henry had been good all day. Lamar, first down, scrambles for a first down, gets like 13 yards. It's like, all right, here we go. They're not getting the ball back. Ravens win by 8 will be a great win for the Ravens. The Bills just didn't do enough. And then next thing you know, Derrick Henry fumbles. Josh Allen has one pass right to the 1-yard line. They score a touchdown. Don't get the 2-point conversion, as you said, and then the rest is history.
3 2-point conversions today, Adam. And if I had to pick, that top tier of teams who could get the 2-point conversion, the Bills are up there because they have a good running back, a great quarterback who can run, and they do have people that can catch a ball. 0 for 3, and they still won this game.
Yeah. And it was weird that, like, on none of the 2-point conversions, they had Josh run. They were all pass plays. I thought they'd have them just, line up and just do, like, a power run right behind Deion Dawkins and see what happens. But, I mean, it was just, this is crazy. You mentioned best regular season game I've seen since probably Rams-Chiefs Monday night game when they both went nuts, and it was Mahomes versus Goff. The year the Rams were unbelievable. Best game I've seen, just overall game, probably since the Chiefs-Bills game. The 13-second game. Because I was actually thinking the Bills, a huge possession in this game was right before halftime when the Bills got the field goal. It was like, I was like the 7 seconds, throwing it down the field, getting in, getting out of bounds with 1 second left to kick the field goal right before the half. I was like, that's the best short clock situational football I've seen probably since the 13-second game, the way the Chiefs did it, right at the end to kick the field goal to force overtime. It's just, it was crazy
I don't know.
Get that.
The Chiefs against the Chargers, Butker right before the half, getting onto the field to kick in that field goal. That's
it's just, there's so many little things here in the first half, and like you were trying to say the Bills played horrible. They just hung around. They like the Ravens felt like they were dominating the game. This felt like a game the Bills had no chance in, but the Bills were just in it, and it's like the game's not over yet. And then all of a sudden,
when D-Hop had that one-hand catch. I
Yeah.
was like, well, if he's catching that, this game's wraps.
And like they were still only down 16 points. It's like it's still only a 2-score game. It's like weird spots in the game, and then like it just comes down to it. And one mistake, it comes down to what team made the mistake and flinched. It was Derrick Henry fumbling that gave the Bills all the life back in it. I'm sure there's about 25,000 Bills fans that are probably really kicking themselves right now because they left the game early because they thought the game was over. Maybe they had school in the morning, maybe they had work in the morning, thought they'd get something else done, and they missed an all-time comeback by their team who moves to 1-0. And the big thing is, how does Baltimore bounce back? They have a game. They're against Cleveland next week. Shouldn't be a problem for them. But that is an emotionally draining loss for a team that looked like they were going to be off guns a-blazing into week 2 and throughout the rest of the regular season.
Yeah, I actually think even as you're talking, I'm still trying to catch my breath from everything because of the excitement that I had running around and screaming. And I think since I was rooting for Buffalo, I'm happy about it. But the Ravens, as you were saying, great offensive clinic for like 38 minutes.
3.5 quarters. 3.5 quarters of perfect football.
Derrick Henry ran all over the Bills. He owns the Bills, and somehow the Ravens still lose to the Bills. But this was an MVP's going at it. Could at the end of the year, when we're discussing Josh or Lamar, who's in the MVP, we're going to look back at this game. Mm-hmm. And Josh's stats, by the way, are way better than Lamar's, even though I feel like Lamar had a way, like, Lamar's stats were just lower because he was just mostly handing the ball off after they were up by a lot. But I'm still in awe. I cannot fathom the fact that the Bills came back, because once D-Hop made that catch, and the Bills could not get a single 2-point conversion, even though they kept trying, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I could not handle what was happening on the TV screen, Adam.
Like you said, we were going to record early. It was 40-25. Josh Allen threw an interception, but it was dropped, so it didn't count. Yeah. And I was like, oh, game's kind of over, so like it's like we can move on. And I'm like thinking about, what do I want to talk about? I'm like, well, Zay Flowers and D-Hop could be a really good 1-2 punch for Baltimore. It could be the missing piece of that 1-2 that they have. Add in, Derrick Henry on the ground and Lamar being Lamar, and this team virtually unbeatable. But the thing that concerns you for both these teams, and obviously you're just going to say great offense. The defenses did not look great at times, and I think that's going to be the one concern moving forward. Again, I think it says more about the offenses than it does the defenses. But it was an unbelievable game. I think, Baltimore is going to be sitting there in that locker room trying to figure out how they lost, what happened, and
because
it's going to be interesting.
Even though the Bills won, the Ravens felt like they had the momentum pretty much up until that fumble. Because even when the Bills scored, you felt like the Ravens, and then even after the fumble, it still seemed like they were going to win. And right now, I think we're mostly just concerned about Sketch more in his mental state. Our friend Sketch, Ravens fan,
was supposed to be on the show today.
Wanted him to be on the show today. I would not come on the show today if I was him either.
Well, he didn't cancel because they lost. Don't throw that out. He didn't cancel because of the loss. He canceled before the game even started. So
I didn't say because of the loss, but I wanted to imply that because I think it's funny. But no, this was insane. I think in terms of best regular season games, the only other one that I can remember being this crazy was another Bills game, and it was Bills-Vikings years ago.
Oh, yeah.
A few years ago. Justin Jefferson made that crazy catch. Josh Allen fumbled or something at the one. I forget what happened. But at the end of the game, each team was just throwing the game away. This one, it really seemed like it was Baltimore the whole game. The Bills were kind of And I feel like the Bills were holding something back. Josh Allen was not running for most of the game, which is kind of strange. And then he was trying to be a pocket passer, and then by the end of the game, it just was like, you got to try to do something. And then it just started clicking. The receivers were getting open. And I think the Ravens defense, Kyle Hamilton went down with an injury. And who was the other one? Help me out, Adam.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I forget who went down, but yeah.
Humphrey? Was it Humphrey?
No, I didn't think Marlon Humphrey got hurt. He might have, but
2 people went down for the Ravens at some point. And then it seems like after that, even though they came back, it just was like, their secondary was completely different after that point.
Yeah, it's a wild game. But you mentioned the Vikings-Bills game, so I have to say, every time you watch a Vikings game, just listen to the radio call. Don't watch it on TV. Just listen to the radio, because it's so much more fun that way. But, yeah, it's just the Ravens are going to be kicking themselves because they had opportunities to put the game away, and they didn't do it multiple times in this game. Allowed Buffalo, as we said, just to hang around. And the next thing you know, Buffalo steals it at the end. Credit to Matt Prater, who showed up on Thursday, got a red-eye flight to Buffalo. To be the kicker because their kicker got hurt. I believe it's Chris Bass, their kicker.
Tyler Bass, yeah. So Tyler Bass is their kicker. He's out, and, Prater comes in and does it. I know people were joking, being like, oh, good, because Bass probably misses that kick, knowing his... Probably. I love that, Prater.
Knowing his history in Buffalo making game-winning or game-tying kicks, it's not great. Of course, everyone thinks of the Chiefs' loss 2 years ago when he missed the one at home.
Well, when Prater popped up, and they were looking at how hard he could kick it, how far... They're like, as far as 63. And I go, that was in 2013 with, Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
A lot has changed since then.
Yeah.
So it's actually really funny. He ends up getting the flowers. At the end, they hold him up, and it was just this guy was on his couch last week. Mm-hmm. And now here he is, saving the city of Buffalo from a terrible loss. And we could kind of dive into the rest of the episode, but the Ravens just cannot win a big game. It just feels like every time they can let their fans down, they do. I'm very scared for Sketch. Also, Josh Bartosik, who had a 99% chance to win his fantasy matchup until Josh Allen happened, and Justin Chevlella was validated in picking Josh Allen in the first round.
Picked him in the first round, and it worked because we have a great thing in our fantasy: 6 points for passing touchdowns. It's so great. It's so great. Chris, you love it. You'd love it. Your quarterback got no rushing touchdowns today, so why are you complaining?
Honestly, it helped me because Mahomes had a rushing touchdown. But
Kyler had no rushing touchdowns.
It's the principle of it, but it's okay. Somehow I managed.
It nerfed Jalen Hurts, and I'm not upset about that because I was playing against Jalen. Might still lose. I haven't looked at the score. But anyway, great Sunday Night Football game. Phenomenal. If you didn't get the chance, make sure to at least go watch the highlights. If you can find a way to rewatch the game, rewatch it. It's definitely worth it. And it was just a great game. Baltimore, you got to lick your wounds, got to get back, pick yourself back up. It's going to be hard. I mean, that is an emotional loss and kind of really brings up all the tough losses they've had. They get Cleveland, as we said, next week, so that's maybe a good consolation prize. You get Joe Flacco coming back to Baltimore next week, so we'll see what happens, but it's just not good for Baltimore. Buffalo moves to 1-0, so, and their division the Dolphins look horrible. Patriots lost, but the Jets look interesting, so it could be.
Well, Adam, we actually made our picks. If you follow our social medias, which you should on Instagram, posted our picks from before the weekend, and I was destroying you, Adam, in our 1 o'clock games. You, though, got the best of me in the 4 o'clock games, and here we are. And we're all even up, but let's get to the rest of this episode. I think I finally calmed down. My heart rate has finally returned to a normal level.
Oh, excuse me, choking on some water. But as you said, I smoked you in the 4 o'clock hour.
Yep.
Smoked you. Upset picks. Well, since you did game picks, we're both 11-4. We're going to finish tied this week because we both picked the Bears tomorrow night. Upset pick-wise, we both lost. Chris had a better chance than I did. Giants had no shot. Giants look horrible. Get Jackson Dart out there. Please. Just make me happy.
I think after one half, it was pretty much wraps.
Or Jameis. At least Jameis is fun.
I thought Jameis Winston week 1 put him in because the Giants can't do anything.
Plus, you imagine Jameis versus the Commander. He would just sling that thing. And then he'd give us some crazy quote in the post-game presser, and we missed out on all that to watch Russ score 6 points.
Yeah, how do you score 6 points against the Washington Commanders? You're supposed to be the veteran QB that actually knows what they're doing. You'd come in, be solid. He was terrible. Yeah. Honestly, so bad.
O-line didn't help him. Malik Neighbors was ticked. But, it definitely wasn't pretty for my
What else is doing? I don't know if there's ever been a game where Malik Neighbors isn't yelling at the coach.
Yeah. But Chris's upset pick was the Texans. They had the ball inside the 20-yard line, but Dare Agumbawale fumbling cost you your upset pick this week.
It did, and I also think I overlooked something in football. The offensive line, I guess, does matter in the sport, and the Texans, I genuinely think, have the worst offensive line I've ever seen. They traded away one of their... Actually, no, that's a lie. The Giants, for years, I think, had the worst offensive line.
End-of-year Eli Giants were really bad.
Yes. Besides those Eli Manning Giants, this might be the worst one I've seen, considering how good the rest of the team is. They were getting pressure on Stafford. They played a very good defensive game. They almost killed Puka Nacua. And they literally still lost the game. And CJ Stroud, step back, one step, and boom, sacked. That was my pick. And I think that I was one of the teams that I'm just willing after week 1 overreactions we're going to get to. I think I'm just out. Change my
not
whole
out.
attitude.
I'm not out on them, but of course I'd love to be out on them because they're not winning the division. The AFC South belongs to one team, and it's always belonged to one team. And now that we have a competent coach, it's going to stay with one team. I don't think we've won the division since Trevor beat Justin Herbert that year, so 3 years ago. So it's been a while. And that wasn't before that until like 2018. So it's been a while. But anyway, let's get to our overreactions, Chris, because that's what Week 1's all about. Because we know nothing about these teams. These teams are going to be completely different in December than they are now. They'll be different next week than they are right now. But
that's the best thing about Week 1 is there's so much attention that you just immediately think that, like, okay, Josh Allen will always get me 40 fantasy points because he did today.
He'll have bad games. It's a long
A.J.
season.
Brown might be the worst receiver in the NFL after 1 week is what you're going to say to yourself, but we have to remember. But we're gonna evaluate what's a real overreaction and what's genuinely some truth behind it.
Yeah. So, do you want to give your first overreaction, or do you want me to go? How do you want to do this?
I'll go first because I'm so energetic today.
Yeah.
Number one, we talked about the Bills and the Ravens. As amazing as that game was, the Bills need an actual sustainable offensive plan that they can do the whole year because this game, their defense was atrocious until the end. And offensively, Josh Allen looked like the line of scrimmage was the Great Wall of China in front of him. He would not cross it. He did not want to scramble. And I understand. He's maybe like, let me save myself for like the bigger games. Let me try not to take 1,000 hits. You got to win the game, though. You can't try to stay in the pocket and be like Ben Roethlisberger at the end of his time on the Steelers. Josh, use your legs. Move around a little bit. You don't have great receivers. They don't. They're not getting open. He has a good offensive line, but he was literally running up to the line and just backing off and having to try to throw it, and they're just balls that double covered to Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir, who are solid, but they're not DeAndre Hopkins that could one-hand them. So I think the Bills need to figure out an actual offensive plan that works, because whatever the hell happened today is probably never going to happen again.
I just want to say one thing. You said that he's going to have to do that to win the game. Like, go win the game, don't save yourself. Check notes, they're 1-0. He won the game, so he did all right. And they scored 41 points, so if their offense is playing bad and scoring 41, they're going to be all right.
I think he had 10 rushing yards after the first half. When I want to see
360 passing yards.
He did. And I also, though, feel like some of those stats were, like, just down by a lot. And then just, like, crazy things would happen. And then and now, it looks like a great all-time passing game. But in the moment watching it, it didn't feel like it.
Well, it never feels like it till the end. Then you look at the box, you're like, oh, boy. Like, I was like, oh, man, he's at 298.
I thought Lamar outplayed it for 90% of the game. And Lamar's stats are a third of his.
Yeah, but then at the end of the game, they need a big third down conversion, and it doesn't happen. I think, like, Lamar had to know when you give Josh Allen the ball back with 2 minutes left, you're probably not going to be in a good spot, especially the way your defense played. Yeah.
But before, when you don't convert,
I'm surprised you didn't argue to go for it on 4th and 2.
I thought they should because the Ravens' defense was doing nothing, and I was like,
win it or lose it.
Let Lamar just do a scramble. They didn't stop it all game. It was like 2nd 18, Lamar ran for 30 yards.
Now, granted, if they would have went for it and didn't get it, we'd be sitting on here. So how do you not punt it and make them drive the length of the field? So who knows? Hindsight's 20/20 as always. My first overreaction is, Chris, we always talk about there being a big upset every week. There really wasn't one this week. For Week 1. No one really got shocked, but the one game that was probably the closest was in Denver. The Broncos beating the Titans 20-12. I was extremely unimpressed. As Chris knows, I'm not very high on the Broncos this year. So my overreaction after watching Week 1, the Broncos are going to miss the playoffs, and they're going to have a losing record. I was looking at their schedule. They play some tough teams. They couldn't beat good teams last year, so why am I supposed to think they're going to beat good teams this year, especially now when they played a team that's not supposed to be good in the Tennessee Titans, and they win by 8 at home. Bo Nix throws 2 interceptions. They don't look very good. They don't look competent at times. I know it's Week 1, but, I mean, the Chargers look great. The Chiefs aren't going anywhere. I mean, it's just the Raiders looked good today. Geno threw for like 360. So I'm out. I was never in on the Broncos. I know you are. You got them in the AFC Championship game, but I'm out. I'm out on the Broncos. And by the way, I texted this to you. I don't think it's going to be this bad, but Mac Jones did make the playoffs as a rookie too.
I hated that comparison.
Just saying, look, it's because it's true, by the way.
I know, that's why it's true, Adam. The moment you said it, I was like, they kind of look alike. They're both older.
Both team picks in a loaded quarterback draft, everyone thought.
The moment you said, I was a little scared.
Yeah.
The difference, I think, is that Bo Nix, I think, showed a lot of himself last year, whereas Mac Jones kind of just looked like he was doing very simple things. But by the end of last season, Bo Nix was making plays I don't think Mac Jones is really doing.
Yeah.
And I just believe in Sean Payton that offense will figure it out. I think the Titans also have a decent defense that gets overlooked. In terms of the Broncos, I would not say the Broncos are actually going to be this overrated team. I think it's a little bit of overreaction. But I will say that this whole bandwagon that was jumping on this team and this offense might have to cool down a little bit because, like I did, I assumed that Bo Nix would take a step forward, and I assumed that R.J. Harvey would come in and be like this amazing running back, which is not the case. And it's not like they have amazing receiver options. They have solid receivers, but offensively, I think they're just like a solid, average offense, but they just couldn't really do anything today. It was really frustrating to watch. Nothing was really working. And also, in other news, we might have Sketch Morton coming on the podcast. We might have to edit some things right. But if I can get a Ravens fan after this game, I will put him on a microphone.
Boy.
Adam, I hate the comparison because I'm afraid it might be true.
It could be. Like I said, I was never in on the Broncos. Bo Nix is better than Mac Jones. Like, I'm not saying he's Mac Jones, but it's just hold your horses. There's this, they call it a sophomore slump for a reason, and I think he could be on his way for a sophomore slump. Just saying.
I could see that. That's probably the most calm version.
All right, so what do you got? Your second. I think you want to go players now for you. I think that's where you're going.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to cover some teams, my panic button, so I'm just going to go with the player one. My boy, Emeka Egbuka. I have that man in literally every single fantasy league I am in. I started him in every single league but one. In the one league I did not start him and I lost. Emeka Egbuka is the most overlooked rookie receiver. He fell early in drafts. And Adam, don't you make that face at me.
He was the
should have
third
been
receiver
talked about like
taken.
Marvin Harrison, okay? He's like Scottie Pippen to Michael Jordan on those Ohio State teams. But Scottie Pippen was pretty damn good, and so was Emeka Egbuka. Second receiver on the Bucks, but today he was their number one. 2 touchdowns today, one of which won them the game.
Yeah.
He was phenomenal. Baker was atrocious. Mike Evans was fine. Baker had a great closing drive, but do you know why? Because he threw the ball to Emeka Egbuka. Maybe one of the greatest first game performances for a receiver. Usually it's like, rookie receivers don't have a great start, but they usually come along late. He doesn't know that because he was amazing from the start. An amazing, amazing player that I literally put all of my eggs in that basket a month ago, and I felt so validated today. The amount of people that texted me about Emeka Egbuka was probably more people that texted me on my birthday. That's a lie, but I thought it sounded funny.
First of all, overlook. He was the highest drafted rookie receiver in fantasy. Everyone knew he was going to be good. Like
Matthew Golden and
we're drafted higher
McMillan.
than Emeka Egbuka.
McMillan on the Panthers was ahead of him, and you know it.
No, he wasn't. I watched him play today. I don't know
yes,
why
he
anyone
was.
would have
He was
drafted
ranked
him.
ahead of him. Do I want Bryce Young throwing him balls? No, I do not.
Every draft I was a part of, Egbuka was drafted first. So what up? No one drafted Ted McMillan. You know who's throwing him the ball. I'll get to him later. He's one of my overreactions. But no, he's really good. And I do want to ask you something. Since you've always liked him, how many college games did you watch Emeka Egbuka play?
I watched the ones against Penn State, and that is it.
So 2 games, maybe 3.
Yes. And Adam, nothing I'm saying has to do with his college career. It has to do with the fact of the research that I do for fantasy football leads me to people that I completely didn't know existed. And every single thing about this man was phenomenal. And I was like, I thought it was crazy. I'm like, why is he not talked about like Marvin Harrison? I don't understand.
It is weird that, you really love a guy who's probably going to terrorize the Saints for the next 10 to 12 years. That's just...
Good. The Saints almost won today. We need to stop that now. We lose now.
Dude, you don't have to worry about with Spencer Rattler throwing 45 times a game. That's not a winning recipe. So
I agree, but the fact that they could have won the game today scared me.
It's funny. It's really funny that Kellen Moore's game plan was Spencer Rattler 45 times.
Listen, he actually looked good at some of the plays. He was actually making some nice short throws, and I was like,
It's just funny. That was the week 1 game plan for Spencer
Rattler. They're getting
Rattler.
Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed in space, and they're running around a lot. I'm like, oh no, this is actually a good plan. We should have done this the last 4 years behind Dennis Allen.
For your Saints, you should be confident. Kellen Moore looks like the right hire. I'll give you that. He does.
The Saints look more competent today than they did under Dennis Allen at any point. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Last year, those 2 games were phenomenal. But as an actual team, Kellen Moore has made the Saints look like they make more sense in a functioning system. And even though the team isn't great, they're actually solid at basically every position except quarterback. So
Yeah.
I think there actually might be like 5 wins, and I'm kind of sad.
Yeah, you don't want that, buddy. You don't
I
want
wanted
that.
a 2-win season so badly.
Yeah, I told you to wait 2 years because that's when Bo Prabula comes out, but I don't think you want to do that. So
Stop it.
All right, so you did a great segue for me, though. I really appreciate it because you talked about Dennis Allen in those 2 games from last year with the Saints when they got off to that hot start. They killed the Panthers and killed the Cowboys. That's what the Colts are going to be this year. Everyone's overreacting because they beat a horrible Dolphins team 33-8. I know I picked the Dolphins to win in our picks. I don't care. They're horrible. Tua looked terrible. I mean, I like the Colts because of Tyler Warren, but that's about it. I don't think Daniel Jones, what he did today is sustainable, especially when defense coordinators get tape on what he's going to look like in a Shane Steichen offense. I mean, that's what they are. They're a team that's going to get off to a hot start. I think they have a decently tough game next week. I think they play. I forget who they play. They might play the Broncos. Let me pull it up.
I'll do
here.
some research. Don't
No,
worry.
I got it here. I can look it up here. They play the Broncos. Yep, Broncos 4-5 at home. That's what I thought. But yeah, they're going to be the 2024 Saints. Heck, maybe they get the upset over the Broncos, who I don't think is going to be good, just like the Saints did to the Cowboys last year. And then we go from there. So yeah, I'm not sold on the Colts. Everyone's, I think, overreacting a lot about how good they played. I know they're the first team that never got stopped in a game, and it's Daniel Jones to be the quarterback of it. But that says more about the Dolphins and Mike McDaniel than it does about the Colts. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not sold on the Colts. I'm not buying. If anyone's buying stock in the Colts, they can buy all of mine because I'm not buying any of it.
I'll buy some from you. I am concerned about Daniel Jones because inevitably that will fail. But he honestly, like even last year, the Colts looked really good week 1. Daniel Jones was throwing balls, not to the players exactly, but around the players, and they looked phenomenal. The way that they were trying to dive and catch these balls that, even though they were open, that affected it to dive to them, the receivers looked great. Jonathan Taylor looked phenomenal. Tyler Warren looked great as well. And the Dolphins were so bad, they just kept giving the Colts the ball. Daniel Jones was able to get 2 rushing touchdowns on these QB sneaks. They looked good. However, I'm with you. I lived the 2024 Saints. This honestly wasn't even as bad as the 2024 or as great as the 2024 Saints. Because against Carolina last year, I thought that was the best offense I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah,
especially considering the lack of.
Now what? That OC's with Seattle, and they scored 13 points today. So
listen, man, it was a special team. Derek Carr, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Juwan Johnson.
Yep.
It was like Tom Brady with Randy Moss.
Yeah, but we're talking about that Seattle offense, and I'm pretty sure that segues you into your next overreaction.
Nice job, Adam. Yeah, every single fantasy draft, I did not pick Kenneth Walker, but I tried to pick up Zach Charbonnet. Because at the end of last season, Kenneth Walker had one of his 85 little ailments that made him questionable for the week. And Zach Charbonnet would just come in and look better than him half the time. He was more explosive, got more long plays. Maybe Kenneth's a little bit bigger, so maybe more of a goal line guy, but Charbonnet would just run all over the field and get these big plays. And today, he got more carries. And if Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker had similar touches, or Kenneth had a little bit more, but Charbonnet outgained him, that's different. What I'm saying is the coaches literally gave him the ball more than Kenneth Walker, meaning they decided to give it to him. So I think they think he might be as good, if not better. Kenneth Walker did have a foot injury going into the game. Maybe it's a limit thing, but I think just genuinely the Seahawks offense is going to kind of fade out Kenneth Walker, and it's going to look more like Gibbs and Montgomery, where Kenneth Walker is more like Montgomery, Gibbs is more like Charbonnet. I think that's going to be a dual backfield. I think that was kind of slept on, and I think that's pretty clear now after week 1, as much as clear can be after just one game.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've never been super, super high on Kenneth Walker. I think the best game of his life happened in college, and it hasn't changed for him. He did have 5 touchdowns against Michigan in an upset win for Michigan State. Then they went and lost to Purdue the next week, but don't tell Spartan fans that. He's always somewhat hurt. Charbonnet's a really good complementary back to him. And if Kenneth Walker's not going to be healthy, I mean, the best ability is availability, and Charbonnet's always on the field, and you can rely on him, and you know what you're getting from him week in and week out. So I'm with you. I think Zach Charbonnet could be running back 1 there. Like I said, I don't think that offense is going to be good. I don't think Sam Darnold is replicating what he did last year. So I know Jackson Smith and Jigba had a good game today. All the Ohio State receivers had good games today, so that was good to see if you're a Buckeye fan. After you won 70-0 to Grambling State, be a little nicer next time, guys. Okay, yeah, they have a cool.
Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson rekindled that Ohio State relationship.
Justin
and
Fields is
Charbonnet
great.
too came along really strong at the end of last season, and I think that gets overlooked.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Speaking of guys who had a really strong end to last season.
You're dang right. Great. I was going to segue myself if you didn't. I was going to say we were talking about Kenneth Walker's 2021 game against Michigan. He was a Heisman finalist that year. But the guy who won it was Bryce Young, who would go on to be the #1 pick in the NFL draft. And he had a strong, as Chris said, he had a strong finish to last year. And I don't want to beat him up too much because he might have played the best defense in the NFL. No, you never know with that. Them boys, it is hard to play down there in Duval County, especially when you have a 76-minute weather delay. It's hard in those locker rooms.
That is true.
We're building a new stadium, the old locker rooms ain't, up to snuff, So, I mean, we're not renovating them now. We're building an all-new one. But Bryce Young played, and outside of Tua, Bryce Young might have been the worst quarterback of all the quarterbacks this weekend. He was really, really bad. He turned the ball over 3 times. The one was at the end of the game, not going to kill him. It was a great pick by Jordan Lewis. The other one, if you try to say it was tipped in the air, it was tipped in the air because it should have been picked by the first guy. And Foye Oluokun made an incredible diving interception for it. And then he got the ball punched out when he was scrambling. So he was really bad, and I think we can finally say this because he hasn't signed an extension yet. This is his 3rd year in the NFL. This is the last season we'll see Bryce Young as a full-time starter. He might get some games here and there. I think he's going to start to transition into a backup. I think Carolina's going to restart after this year, especially when a guy like Lenore Sellers from South Carolina is going to be in this next draft. The Panthers are going to be picking high, so I think they're going to be looking at a guy like that. Cade Klubnik, they might look at a guy like that. If they're in the Arch Manning sweepstakes, maybe as well, but I don't think they're taking another year of this Bryce Young experiment because it hasn't worked. They're probably going to fire their coach after this year too because after today, I don't know if you're seeing any growth unless you're like me and completely bought in that the Jags defense is loaded. I'm being very sarcastic when I say that. I'm a Jags fan, but I don't think their defense is loaded like the way I don't think they're going to look every game the way they look today. So, yeah, I think I was going to say Bryce Young and Tua. This is the last year we'll see them as starters, but Tua's got the contract, so I think the Dolphins have to at least give him at least one more year. But, yeah, I think, it's time to pull the plug on the Bryce Young experiment in Carolina, and it's going to go down as I don't know if he'll go down as one of the biggest busts in the history of the NFL, but it's going to go down as one of the worst trade-ups in the history of the NFL because of everything they gave up to go get Bryce Young. Well,
it's that they traded up, and also the person picked behind him is C.J. Stroud, who's having so far a very good career, even though the Texans aren't amazing. But I think I kind of agree with this one. I think you give them a few more weeks. I think if the Panthers can be competent in the 3rd team in the NFC South, but if they're worse than the Saints, I think you just have to completely just blow it up again in Carolina. They've not had a solution, really, since Cam Newton fumbled that ball to the Broncos. Seems like ever since then they've just been going slightly down, and they've been at rock bottom now for a few years. I think Bryce Young having good end to last season was more of an actual outlier than anything. And you like to have hope, and you want to see a guy succeed. But at some point, he doesn't have the physical tools that are going to keep him in the league. And if he's not really figuring it out, I think if he, by week 4, if they're not winning games, I think he's going to go back to the bench because he got benched last year. So we'll see.
Yep. Andy Dalton's still there as the backup quarterback. Maybe that's the key. Bench him again, and maybe he'll reset. That's what happened last year. But I also think everyone said about how strong of a finish he had last year. That was because the expectations were so low. Like, the numbers weren't, like, eye-popping. Like, oh, my God. Like, how about that? It's because everyone's like, he's a bad quarterback. And it's like, he's actually looking pretty decent. It's kind of like Daniel Jones when he plays well. Like Sam Darnold at the beginning of last year before he really took off. It's like, man, that's like he had some really, really good games. It was like 225 yards, a couple touchdowns, no interceptions, one of those situations. But, yeah, I think it's time to give up, especially if they like Tet McMillan, if they like Xavier Legette, the receivers they have down there, and you're like, man, we got to get them a quarterback at this point. Chuba Hubbard's still down there. Like, I mean, if you're going to keep just running this back with Bryce Young, especially when Michael Penix is a young quarterback in that division. Baker just is going to re-up. Baker's not going anywhere. And then the Saints are going to be getting a new quarterback, so I think it's going to be time for them. If they don't think Bryce Young's truly the guy, they got to reset, or they're going to be well behind the 8 ball heading into next season and beyond. All right, so Chris, now it's time to go into what's going to become weekly segments on our Sunday episodes. The show is called the Pain and Panic Podcast, so we've made the show part of our segments for every week. So we're going to say what fan base or team should be in pain every week and what team or fan base should be hitting the panic button. Chris, we'll start with the pain. What fan base is in the most pain, or what team is in the most pain after this weekend?
I had two candidates. One was the Dolphins. They came runner-up. The Dolphins were really just terrible against the Colts. This was maybe the game to decide, are they going to be decent or are they going to be terrible? And they're terrible. But they don't have as much hope as this team, and we talked about them, the Ravens. You can go to sleep and know that they're still a good team, but they cannot win a big game. It is really frustrating, I think, watching Derrick Henry have one of his best games. Lamar has a great game. And your defense played very good against the Bills' offense for 3.5 quarters. Mm-hmm. And just like that, a bad 5 minutes cost you the whole game, and your whole Sunday just got flipped on its head. That has to be the most painful loss. They have the most long-term, optimism of these painful teams. But that's the one that's going to stick in your heart as you go to sleep tonight. You're going to wake up sad.
Yep, I think you hit it on the head. That one's going to hurt. I think that's short pain, though. Like, they're going to bounce back. I think the Ravens are going to be good this year, barring any injuries. But it's definitely
that's why I mentioned the Dolphins.
They're not going to bed happy. They're not going to bed happy tonight.
No, they will not.
If they're sleeping at all. All right, so you mentioned the Dolphins. I'll give them a shout-out. They were horrible. Mike McDaniel's got to go. I think it's time. Tua, you got to figure it out. Tyreek Hill is going to be playing for a new team by week 7. Probably, and it's probably going to be his old team in Kansas City. I'd say week 5. Yeah, probably going to be his old team in Kansas City somehow, too. I was actually, during that game, I was going to say, man, Tyreek would actually be pretty decent on Buffalo if they could find a way to get him. It'd be hard because it's in division, but it'd be interesting to see. If him
I
in
don't
Buffalo.
want another annoying receiver in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Diggs was unbearable there.
Plus, it happens every year, though. Buffalo trades for a veteran receiver at the deadline. Maybe it's Tyreek Hill this season. But that's... I don't want to get into the Dolphins too much because I like college football, and I'm going to insist on talking about college football because I think this is hilarious because I'm not a Florida fan, so I can have fun with this. So Florida lost 18-16 to South Florida. Now, Chris, you're not a huge college football fan. You'll watch Penn State, as I found out. You watch the FIU game at noon. Very fun to watch. So I'm assuming you did not watch the South Florida game this weekend.
I saw the score, and I thought it was interesting.
Florida got the ball with 2:52 left, up 16-15. 1st and 10 on about their own 40-yard line. So what do you think? South Florida has 2 timeouts. They also have the 2-minute timeout. So what would you be calling in this situation? Probably a run play, right? Want to run?
I would call a run play to try to get a first down and ice the game.
DJ Lagway, their quarterback, their star sophomore quarterback, he's pretty good, checks out to a pass and throws an incompletion, so that stops the clock. They run it on 2nd down, and then they snap the ball with about 2:19 left, and they run a slot fade all the way down the field, 30-yard pass dropped by the receiver. 4th down, they punt it back to USF before the 2-minute timeout. So USF's basically got 3 full timeouts. I think on the second play of the drive, a Florida defensive tackle gets called for an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Can you guess what he did, Chris?
I have no idea.
What did Jalen Carter do?
He spit on someone?
Spit in a guy's face. It went through the face mask into his face. 15-yard penalty, he's ejected. That really kickstarts the drive. USF hits a big play on a little dump-off pass to their running back. They run it down. They get all the way down to the 3-yard line and kick a walk-off, basically a PAT, to win 18-16 against Florida, who... It's a really bad loss. Billy Napier still has his job somehow, the head coach. The AD came out and said, we're keeping him, which is the real reason that Florida fans should be in pain. How does he not get fired? But I think I'm going to tell you when he's going to get fired. So here's why they should be in real bad pain. So they just lost to USF, Chris. USF, right? South Florida, who's now ranked. They're ranked 18th. They've got 2 big wins against Boise State and against Florida. But you ready for this? I'm going to read you off Florida's schedule for the next few weeks. This weekend, they are at number 3 LSU. Next weekend, they are at number 5 Miami. Then they have a bye week, gracefully. And then they come back off the bye. They're at home against number 7 Texas. And then they go on the road at number 16 Texas A&M. Then they get Mississippi State at home. Congratulations. You don't get a ranked team. But then the week after that, you play number 6 Georgia in Jacksonville. Then you're at Kentucky. Then you're at number 17 Ole Miss, at home versus number 15 Tennessee, and then you get Florida State at home, who's ranked number 10 in the country.
How do they have such a difficult schedule and Penn State has
But Florida does this. I don't know how Florida does. Well, it's because Florida ends up playing Miami and Florida State, so it usually depends if they're good or not. They did play
usually good.
Chris, they did play a school you would know in week 1 in Long Island. They won 55-0.
What team was that?
Long Island University.
Never heard of it.
You're from New York, dude.
Never heard of the college.
Yeah, but Long Island University, they beat them 55-0. So I said, there's a legitimate chance. I'd said if Florida went 6-6 before the season, I'd probably give Billy Napier a Medal of Honor. But now there's a chance they might go 2-10, because if they lose this week, they lose next. If they lose all the games they're supposed to lose, their 2 wins are potentially against Mississippi State and at Kentucky, so they can go 3-9. And according to the AD, the fan base is going to have to watch Billy Napier coach football for the entirety of that season through that murderer's row gauntlet. Now, a lot can change. Florida's a talented team, but yeah, that fan base should be in a lot of pain right now, especially because the SEC runs through Missouri with my boy Bo Prabula, who's completing 79% of his passes, has over 700 over 600, close to 700 passing yards, multiple touchdowns, no interceptions, and he's 2-0 coming off a 42-31 win at Kansas. Yes, I'm going to continue to talk about Bo Prabula until he lets me down, Chris. Every time in the podcast, I'll bring him up. But yeah, the Florida should be in a lot of pain right now. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for the fans because they want him out. They wanted him out last year. They basically said he could stay if he hires an offensive coordinator because he's been calling plays, but they upset a couple teams at the end of the year, and he decided, I'm going to do it myself, and it's not working. So, yeah.
I think the only college clip I saw... Oh, actually, I did watch a game. I forget who was playing.
Didn't you watch the Penn State
Oklahoma.
FIU game?
No, Michigan-Oklahoma I saw, because that was the only ranked matchups going.
But you didn't watch Penn State FIU? You were
I watched that.
me.
Besides Penn State was the ranked ones.
Yeah.
I saw that Syracuse lost, and then they were running sprints after the game. That's the only clip I saw, and I was
that was funny. That was
I respect the hell out of that. That's a good coach right there.
It's a good coach until you find out in December that half your team enters the transfer portal. That's when that's a bad situation.
Well,
but yeah, they
Adam,
played horrible. So
you're a pain guy, okay? You're a pain. I'm panic.
Yeah,
now let's move to the panic button where you're not totally freaking out for the season, but your heart's beating and you're like, I'm worried. Should I be? This is a fun game I like to play whenever I go on a walk where I freak out about something, and 90% of the time, it's actually nothing. Shout out Izzy, Sketch, and you for dealing with that all the time. Anyways, now, panic button. Adam, I'll let you go first, but just what team is just if you're a fan there, which team are you worried about? But they could still win you back.
I'll start with the Denver Broncos because I said them earlier. I think they're going to miss the playoffs. I think they might have a losing record. They have a lot to worry about. Bo Nix has to be better with decision-making. They got to find a way to run the ball more effectively. The defense is going to be good, but, scoring 20 points against the Titans, it's not going to cut it in a very good AFC West and looks even better after week 1. But the team I'm going to talk about that should be should really be smashing the panic button right now is the Detroit Lions. That was not pretty in Lambeau Field. No, the Packers are good. I'm not I picked the Packers to win, so I'm not surprised that the Packers won the game. But their offense looked lost. They looked lost out there. And I saw a stat that someone put out after the game. Jared Goff is 3-17-1 when Sean McVay and Ben Johnson are not calling plays. Ben Johnson's not there anymore. He's not walking through that door. He's at a division rival. Jared Goff will get to see him twice when they play in Chicago with the Bears in the division, but they did not look good. They looked lost on offense. The Packers did whatever. Packers got off to a hot start offensively on their own against that Lions defense. It was 27-6 is really the score. They scored a garbage time touchdown on an insane catch by a rookie. You give credit to that to lose 27-13, but. No, it's really not looking good. They didn't look ready to play. They didn't look very motivated, and I think there's going to be a lot of questions if they truly have a down year and they don't turn this around. A lot of people are going to question Dan Campbell without those two because when they brought Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson in, that's when things started to turn around. And the Jets looked great today against Pittsburgh in Aaron Glenn's first game, and now Ben Johnson's obviously going to have the opportunity on Monday night tonight against the Vikings. So. Yeah, it's just, I would definitely be very concerned, especially it's the same thing I said about the Broncos in the AFC West. The NFC North is loaded, so you definitely have to be concerned if you're the Lions with the way your team looked in week 1.
Yeah, I'd be petrified if I was a Lions fan right now because it looked like you had all the same toys, but they were just completely going the wrong way. You know what? Better analogy. You're driving the same sports car, but the driver is just completely going all over the road.
Yeah.
It was really bad. And I think some of the main problems was that the whole interior of their offensive line was different. And they did a very good job on the broadcast explaining that guys were picking up the right guy, and that just led to this amazing run game, not really getting the same success. And if the run game isn't there, you're relying on Jared Goff to chuck the ball. And honestly, the Packers would let the Lions get a bunch of 2-yard catches. I think Jahmyr Gibbs had more.
Shout out. I forgot. Congratulations. Jahmyr Gibbs set a record today. The least amount of yards in a 10-catch game in the history of the NFL. 10 catches, 31 yards.
I was about to say, he did an Alvin Kamara performance from a few years ago when he was just mailing the checks and just catching the ball 20 times. But it was just really weird because you're seeing the same skill players, but it's the things that you don't really normally notice, like the offensive line or an offensive coordinator, but you're like, something's missing. And on top of that, you lost to the Packers, who looked phenomenal. And especially with Micah Parsons there, when he had that sack, you just felt like the Packers' momentum was just all-time high right there.
The crazy thing is, he didn't get the sack till about 4 minutes ago in the fourth quarter. He wasn't doing a lot, and they were still dominating the game. That's the scary part.
They were limiting him like the whole game. He has the back problem, but the moment he did it, you were like, all right, like if you're a Packers fan, this is your dream right now. And the Lions just looked like they had a student driver driving the car instead of some F1 racer that they used to have. So, same pieces, very different outcome for the Lions. I think that was my pick for the biggest panic button, but I have some other picks as well.
Yeah, but bonus pain, I forgot, Trayvon Diggs. I saw his tweet, man, I feel bad. He's like, when Mike had the sack, he's like, please someone wake me up. This can't be real. Trayvon Diggs and Micah Parsons are best friends, so that makes sense. But, yeah, Trayvon Diggs is really going through it right now, so.
Okay. Well, other teams going through it. I have two. I'm gonna mention one. The Texans. We talked about them a little bit. Their offensive line is so bad. It's gonna be really hard for them to win games when C.J. Stroud is running for his life. And on top of that, the Jags and both the Colts look decent today, and the Titans don't look like a pushover anymore. So the division's getting better, and the Texans look like they have literally no offensive line. It was actually impressive how bad it was. But the main team I'd be worried about is the Chiefs. They did not pull off a magical win, which is rare for them. Last year, they pulled off magical game-winning drives. They could not do it this year. And Xavier Worthy goes down very early in the game because Travis Kelce, his own teammate, trucked him into a different dimension. I don't even know if his shoulder shall attach to his body for Xavier Worthy. But you're just like, okay, well, who are you going to throw the ball to now? You have Hollywood Brown, who looks solid. But can you rely on him to stay healthy? Probably not, because he hasn't stayed healthy most of his career. Travis Kelce, we know he's in his final season. He had a touchdown, but I think only 2 catches. And you're looking at Juju Smith-Schuster is the other guy who you're talking about. There's not a lot of options there. They're supposed to have a really improved receiving core with second-year Xavier Worthy. Rashee Rice coming back, but he's suspended right now. And Hollywood Brown was supposed to be a good option when healthy. And it looks like their best option was literally hit so hard by someone on his own team, I'm surprised his arm is still attached.
Yeah, Chiefs are my Super Bowl pick. I'm not going to overreact because, it's week 1. Jim Harbaugh's never lost a week 1 game, so shout out Jim Harbaugh. But with all the receivers down, Mahomes looked good, but the biggest thing that concerns me is the Chiefs are not winning games if Patrick Mahomes is your leading rusher, and he was their leading rusher on Friday night. You are not winning games playing that way. So
I wanted Pacheco to get the ball a little bit more, but it just seems like they're just weird on offense. And I feel like they were a little bit like the Bills, where they just kind of like were playing kind of conservative until at the end they started really unleashing it. Mahomes seemed a little rusty in the beginning, could not hit a throw to save his life in the beginning on a deep ball, but then he started to dial it up. But the Chargers, by the way, we haven't talked about them. They went from the super run-heavy team to like, oh, the Chiefs are going to stop the run? We'll light it up and we'll throw the ball. I hope they do more of that this year because you have Justin Herbert, you could.
I gotta say something. I don't want to say it. I hate saying
Adam,
this.
someone commented immediately after the Chiefs-Chargers
It was
game?
my sister. She
Oh, is that
reminded
who it
me.
was?
Yeah, it was
Oh,
my
that's so
sister.
funny.
She reminded me when I got home. When we were doing our AFC West picks, or maybe it might have been fantasy football, one of the two, we were talking about this game being in Brazil. And I said, I'm picking the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl because I think they're going to win the game in Brazil. And last year, the Eagles won the game in Brazil and won the Super Bowl. But I said, if the Chargers won, I would come on here and say the Chargers are going to win the Super Bowl. And one of my least favorite quarterbacks, Justin Herbert, is the greatest quarterback of all time. So I'm going to say that. The Chargers are going to win the Super Bowl, and Justin Herbert's the greatest quarterback of all time. And the sad thing is he played well enough that maybe people will actually think I'm being serious. That's my problem. If he would have played bad, everyone would be like, okay, he's just joking. But no, he played good. I'm actually a little upset about it. Quentin Johnston looked like an actual wide receiver. First time since TCU.
Yeah. That was like my takeaway. I'm looking, I'm like, Keenan Allen found the fountain of youth in Brazil for week 1, and Quentin Johnston learned how to catch a ball. So I was like, oh my God. And Ladd McConkey was their third best receiver.
Yeah.
And then Marion Hampton, I think he looked okay. He didn't really do anything crazy, but I think it's because the Chiefs were just trying to go out on the run, and Justin Herbert's like, all right, I mean, you have a bunch of guys wide open down the field. It was kind of impressive, but thank you for admitting. And before we go, this isn't on the agenda, but this guy's on the thumbnail for the video because we said, and this might have been the second best game of the week.
We are putting him on the thumbnail. We mentioned the Jets, but we didn't mention this guy.
We did not mention that Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers looked phenomenal against a Jets team that also looked phenomenal, at least offensively, with Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson, versus Aaron Rodgers, who was back. I thought he was kind of done, to be honest, because he's old, and he's on a brand new team. Wasn't there for most of the preseason, and yet he was lighting it up. And then after the game, he's like, I don't want to beat anyone associated with the Jets. I don't really know what the Jets did that was that wrong to Aaron Rodgers, honestly.
Aaron wanted to come back, and they told him no. That's what happened.
They paid him a ton of money.
No.
He played 4 snaps for them. They brought in everyone that he wanted. Year 2, they still believe in him. They traded for Devontae Adams. They're still paying Alan Lazard. They still have the Aaron Rodgers team. They got the coach he wants. Then they did call him in to tell him he was fired. That maybe could have been a phone call. But like, they believed in you for 2 years and you failed them. They did not do anything really wrong to you. So I don't know why he's acting like there's some vendetta against him. I don't really know. He's not my favorite guy. But he did light it up against the Jets. And it was actually kind of crazy. They kept going back and forth, and Fields looked like the image of, like, the version of him from Ohio State that you wanted, of, wow, he is so elusive. You can't bring him down. And if he actually gets time in the pocket to throw, he's going to throw a great pass to Garrett Wilson. That stayed the same. That was, if both of those teams can be competent, the AFC, I think, is actually a lot tougher than I thought.
Yeah, you left him on the bench this week. No, Justin Fields.
I dropped him for Michael Penix once I found out rushing was worth the same as passing.
Even worse.
Penix had a great game. We didn't mention Penix either. Penix, did you see the 4th down conversion to save the game?
Chris, I don't want to talk about it. I've seen that man stretch out his.
He did. We're going to have to bleep that out.
No, we're not. We're not.
We might.
I about broke a TV during that game.
4th down, reaches out, gets the 1st down right in front of the end zone, and then again reaches out, gets the touchdown, and they would have at least gone to overtime if Younghoe Koo could kick a field goal. Cool. The only time I've seen him make a big kick is against the Saints last year. That was a 50-something yarder. This year he missed it, but also the Bucs kicker missed a field goal and an extra point, which let the Falcons almost tie it. But Penix looked really good too. I just wanted to mention those guys because they were not even mentioned this episode. We might have to find a way to integrate more people, but
screw Michael Penix. Screw him. I don't care. I'm still mad. And it's got nothing to do. He's going to be a good NFL quarterback. That Penn State-Indiana game in 2020, I'm done with him. I'm glad.
I remember watching a game once before I was in Penn State, and they were playing someone, and someone reached out, and they definitely didn't get in the end zone, but they said they did. Was that him?
That would be the guy. It was Indiana.
That's Michael Penix?
36-35. I'm still not happy about it. They transferred to Washington.
I remember watching that game. But that was one of the only college games I've ever watched before I actually got to college.
But he did return to Happy Valley, and we smacked them the next year. So we got our lick back. But we finished 7-6 that year, so that's just okay. But no, I don't like Michael Penix. It's petty. I know it's petty. Plus, I was a little worried because the Chiefs lost, and the Chiefs-Bucks is my Super Bowl prediction, and the Bucks were messing around, and I was getting a little concerned. But they got it done. Baker's clutch. Mecca Ibuka's great. And they're going to be all right, I think. But, yeah, Michael Penix looked good, but Aaron Rodgers. Whew. I don't know if, the Steelers are just a perfect marriage for him or if married life in real life is just, perfect for him. He's locked back in. No. I mean, but he played unbelievable. That's, I think, the one thing that, if you want to like insult and injury, the Ravens, the AFC North looks even better now. I mean, the Bengals didn't look great. The Bengals had 7 yards in the second half against the Browns.
They barely beat the Browns. The Browns could have easily won that game.
Did you see the hit Myles Garrett put on Joe Burrow?
I did not.
He annihilated him. Like, they did a stunt. Myles Garrett came back into the middle. Burrow threw it, and then Garrett killed him. It was like Joe Burrow, I think, almost went limp on the he was lifeless for like 2 seconds. I was like, holy smokes!
I think Nakua getting hit twice in the head on the same play, and then bleeding in his head, and then coming back in later was, I think, the hardest hit of the day. And then you mentioned Browns Bengals, the only other games we haven't really talked about. The Patriots lost to the Raiders. I picked that correctly. They looked like Drake May. By the end of the game, was whipping it and looking great. But it looks like the Raiders, Genti also was averaging 2 yards a carry, which is kind of crazy. But it looks like the Raiders just that game was kind of ugly, but they just were the more experienced team. Made sense. Commanders beat the Giants. We mentioned Russell Wilson looked terrible. And I think the only other one, the Niners beat the Seahawks. Kittle got hurt. And if Kittle's hurt, I don't like the Niners' offense, but McCaffrey played, so they looked decent. But I think we mentioned every other game there. Just wanted to mention those. Cause...
Mike McDonald looked real. The Seahawks defense looks good. The Niners defense with Bob Saleh looked good. Again, we don't know. Maybe the Niners. That's what they call him, Bob out there, Bob Saleh. But they looked good. So again, we don't know. This could be the Seahawks defense. Sam Darnold's regressing back to what he was with New York. We don't know. So we'll find that out. But yeah, we mentioned all of them. Duval's 1-0. That's the important part. The Saints are not 1-0. Man, I would have if Sketch would have been able to be on today, I could have had a field day saying at least somebody's sitting on top of the perch at 1-0, just chilling. Everyone could play the Panthers; it'd be easier, but they don't. That's how the schedule works out. But
he'll make his appearance some other time. We thought we had a chance at him. He's a busy man.
Yeah, but also, congrats. We mentioned Bengals-Browns. Zach Taylor won a Week 1 game. Now he's got 2 wins in Weeks 1 and 2 in his career as a head coach. So congrats, Zach Taylor. And it's only going to be 2 because they're losing to Jacksonville next week. So that's
probably
that's just how it works. Yeah, but quick fantasy touch. Don't overreact about Week 1. Like Jamar Chase didn't play well. Don't overreact about it. Like A.J. Brown's going to get more than 1 target a game. Like, don't overreact about it. You just got to say. Now, if we get to Week 5 and 6 and it's a common theme, okay, maybe you can start to think about it, but don't. Just pump the brakes. Week 1 always is not a truth teller. But if you need a tight end, Brenton Strange played really well for the Jags today. So
I think the beginning of fantasy is a time to pick up guys and cut guys at the end of your bench. That's really what it's most for. My concern is just now who to start. Like, Terry McLaurin didn't do much. Should I bench him? I don't know. Should I start Mecca Ibuka over Mike Evans? Maybe they had the same amount of catches, but Ibuka had 2 touchdowns. We're going to find out. Stuff like that, I think, really matters. But in terms of, oh my God, is A.J. Brown going to be bad? He'll be great, and he'll have 26 points for you one week, and you're going to forget about this.
A.J. Brown's had 1,000 yards every year every year he's played. 1K, always open. I think he had rookie year might have like 900, but it's his nickname's 1K, always open. So, and he didn't complain. There was no beef in the locker room after the game between AJ and Jalen, which is always important. Eagles are 1 for 1 and not having post-game drama that didn't include someone spitting on somebody this season. So we're moving in the right direction if you're a Birds fan. But nah.
Well, I don't know if that's a good thing. I'm not very happy about the Eagles, but it's okay. It's fine. Yeah. But we'll end it there. I promised my many fans that we'd keep this under an hour. I was really scared because we had so much football.
We would have, if the Ravens would have held on, this would have been pretty quick. Not gonna
This would have been probably a 42-minute episode, but the Bills game alone was 20 minutes.
I did want to say, we mentioned the Steelers-Jets game at the end. We were all talking about, like, man, best regular season game since. Yeah, Steelers-Jets were awesome. So I guess
they were my pick for game of the week until that happened. But
I know. It was insane. Because who would have took the over in that game going into it? You never know in Week 1. Yeah, but that's going to do it here for this Week 1 overreaction episode of the Pain and Panic podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and all our socials to get all of our content. We post shorts almost daily. We have graphics up there of our weekly picks and everything, so make sure to subscribe. Follow our Instagram, follow our TikTok, follow us on Twitter. X, my pardon, not Twitter, X. And please subscribe, leave a like to the video if you liked it. Chris, we're going to get out of here. We'll be back with you on Friday. We'll have a Thursday Night Football recap. Quick pick, because we won't be able to give this pick till Commanders-Packers. Who do you got in Green Bay?
Give me the Packers.
I'm with you. I'll take the Packers as well here in week 1. But that's going to do it here for the Pain and Panic podcast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.